today I want to talk about some pretty big issues that Battlefield 2042 still has that in my opinion really need dealing with. The game certainly has improved a lot and DICE should be applauded for the work they've done there. And furthermore, if you haven't tried the game yet, I fully recommend that you do so. Don't let the title of this video put you off the game. But fair warning here, every once in a while you've got to make a video on something that just really needs looking into. Now, some of these issues have always been in the game and have been a persistent nuisance, but a good deal of them are fairly new, coming in more recently with patch 3.2. Before we begin though, if you enjoyed the Battlefield content, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos, and a big thank you to all the channel members and Twitch subs for helping make these videos possible. Now, I haven't really spoken my true thoughts on these yet because I wanted to wait until the dust had settled. You know, I didn't want to overreact about any of them prematurely, but now that patch 3.2 has been around for a few weeks, I feel like I'm in a position to do that. So if you watched my video from Sunday, you may have seen me playing live on stream alluding to what some of these issues are, or if you follow me on Twitter, a lot of folks have been chiming in there with their comments as well. But the first thing I want to talk about here is the new fall animation. So if you aren't aware, in patch 3.2 along with the class system update, DICE added a new fall animation to the game, which causes your soldier to stumble and fall over looking down at the ground. And that's if you jump and land from high enough elevation. Now, I don't know if this is currently a bug or it's intended gameplay because of the ice on breakaway and it's supposed to be uber realistic or something, but right now your soldier will slip and fumble like an infant scaling the tiniest of inclines. Any sort of hilly terrain like this will seemingly completely at random just have you enter the fall animation more often than not, leading to you losing whatever gunfight you may have been partaking in. And if you've experienced this, then you'll know that it is annoying as hell. It's not cool, it's not realistic, it's just bloody annoying. This isn't the first animation DICE have added to the game. Some time ago, they also added animations for your soldier turning around, or if you walked into a wall, your soldier would put out their hand and sort of push themselves off of that wall. Those two animations were fine. They added a bit of realism to the game, and they didn't really affect gameplay. And for any of you who's listened to me for any amount of time, you'll know that my mantra for Battlefield is always and forever gameplay over realism. If you can have both, then fantastic, but do not sacrifice nice gameplay just for a bit of realism. And this new animation does exactly that. Now, judging from most of the replies on Twitter, it would seem that the majority of people agree with me. Well, almost everyone except for XX Angel Maka XX, who seems to think that having your soldier slip sliding around on ice at random is a great gameplay mechanic because it's realistic. Now, it could just be that the animation is bugged and it's triggering in places it shouldn't, in which case DICE need to fix it. But if it can't be fixed, I'd rather see this be reverted altogether. Okay, moving on here, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the transport helicopters. So here's another clip, again, taken from Sunday's video. For context here, this helicopter had been flying around with a full crew, 2 engineers, 3 gunners, for the entire match, and it was, no joke, unkillable. So here you can see me swooping down in the Nightbird, pretty much just sacrificing myself here in order to go after this transport and take him out once and for all. And take note, he's already at like 30% health when I open fire. And as you can clearly see, he just tanks everything that I throw at him. Transport helicopters have always been strong. That's nothing new. But for those of you who don't know, Crawford, who is now of course an engineer, will repair any vehicle below 25% health at double the rate of any other engineer. So if you have 2 Crawfords inside, that's like having 4 repair tools, and it is so incredibly difficult to crack that nut. Any chip damage from the likes of a Nightbird will be instantly repaired up. A Liz TV will only do, I think it's 21 damage, so even that won't kill a transport helicopter at 25% health, and it will almost instantly be repaired. Pretty much your only hope is to hit this helicopter simultaneously with multiple M5 recoilless shots or a tank all at the same time. So if you stagger your damage, which, you know, let's face it, is the case most of the time, good luck killing this thing. Well, okay, Ghost, fair enough, but what do you suggest doing about this? Well, it's pretty simple. Just nerf the repair rate from engineers directly inside the cockpit. We've seen this before, we've had the same solution before. Think back to Battlefield 4, right? The scout heli with 2 engineers could tank almost anything, and it was completely overpowered. So they simply nerfed the repair rate from engineers whilst inside the helicopter. That's a very simple, cheap fix that they could make to the game right now. In the long term though, I really think large caliber weapons like 30mm guns and grenade launchers and all those kinds of things do not belong on transport helis or LATV-4 recon jeeps and hovercraft for that matter. If it were me, I would just stop nerfing these large guns and get rid of them altogether. Now moving on, last but not least here, let's talk about Liz TV missiles, or Lissiles. So pre-patch 3.2, these missiles were already incredibly good. Liz was already the best engineer in the game. She could one-shot a Nightbird, a stealth helicopter, and do, I think it's 85% damage to an attack heli. She was in a really good place in my opinion, but I still noticed a lot of players having great difficulty using her. This was mainly down to console players experiencing a bug related to aiming, and this bug was rectified in patch 3.2. However, it seems that DICE noticed apparently that people had difficulty using her, so they buffed the agility of her missile so that it will turn even tighter than before, which is just absolutely mental to me because it already turned way tighter than the older BF4 TV missiles. And they increased the fuel you get for the missile as well. In addition to that, they increased the size of the missile's hitbox too, which was reportedly to actually make it easier to shoot down this new and improved missile. But what you will instead notice is if you're in a helicopter, missiles will hit you when they really shouldn't. Yes, the netcode does factor into this, and yes, the netcode isn't perfect, especially with high-speed missiles like this, but if you ask any regular Liz or heli user, they'll probably tell you that hitting helis is now way more forgiving, and dodging missiles is way more difficult. I actually think the biggest issue with them though is that they self-replenish, and that is the area I would look at changing first and foremost. You don't get self-replenishing M5 launchers, or AA missiles, or javelins, so why should you with Liz? With the other launchers, you actually have to pick your shots. You can't waste your ammunition, right? You're not going to fire an M5 launcher shot halfway across the battlefield, just, you know, with a Hail Mary kind of shot when you know you only have 2 rounds. When I play as Liz though, I almost instantly launch a missile into the air without even having a target just to see if I can find something, because I have the fuel to get all the way across the map. And why the hell not, right? Why wouldn't I do that when I know that it's going to passively recharge anyway? It really does feel like DICE went a bit too far with these buffs. And I know what all you heli haters will say. Anything that makes dispatching a helicopter easier is a good thing in my book. I have to say, I really don't like these two Battlefield cliques that have emerged. On the one hand, you have the infantry-only players who hate what they would refer to as OP vehicles with a passion, and on the other hand, you've got these so-called vehicle sweats who like to farm infantry and sort of look down upon them as stupid ants. Honestly, guys, you can think of me as both. You've seen from my background footage here, sure, I love playing in vehicles. To me, it's one of the things that makes Battlefield unique. It has, at least up until the last few games, been a mechanic that requires great skill and understanding in order to stay alive and do well. But I am also on the other end of the stick. Believe me when I say that I play infantry in Battlefield 2042 way more than I play in vehicles. And anyone who's seen me streaming will know that. So yeah, I also get bombed by stealth helicopters, and yes, I get strafed by Nightbirds as well. I believe though that to be a good Battlefield player, you should try your best to become proficient at everything. And oftentimes a tank or a helicopter is just a tool for you to use, a means to an end, just like a TV missile or C5. And the ironic thing is that the vehicle players will always have an easier time taking out an enemy vehicle player because they know how they work, and they can predict what that pilot or driver will do. Now, of course, you're completely free to play the game however you want. Some players may just say, you know what, I just don't enjoy playing in vehicles, I just want to play as infantry. Well, you're playing Battlefield. There are vehicles in Battlefield, and if you don't play everything, then I'm sorry, but you're just at a severe disadvantage to the people who do use and make use of everything that the game has to offer. But in any case, believe me right now when I say that it is almost worthless to pick up a helicopter, outside of the transport at least, because missiles could just dispatch you far too easily. And I know, again, those same people will say, oh well good, that means less people playing in helicopters. But where does this end, guys? If you make the helicopters that worthless, if all the vehicles in the game become that underpowered, and let's not beat about the bush here, they are supposed to be overpowered, because they're vehicles. If all of the vehicles in the game become too underpowered, and nobody uses them, eventually DICE will just cut them right out of the game, and, well, Battlefield just won't be Battlefield anymore. Do we really want to see the vehicles become what Call of Duty are currently offering? There is definitely a trend been emerging with Battlefield 2042 and the past few Battlefield games in general. They used to balance the game around the top 1% of players, giving people a goal to look up to, something new to learn and work towards. But nowadays, if average players aren't good enough with something, they will just buff it until everyone can do well with it, give them a good pat on the back, and then it's simply overpowered. Now, I am well aware that this is almost certainly going to be an unpopular take for many of you, but you know, that's okay. We're all entitled to our opinions and we all play this game differently, and I would love to hear yours. So let me know what you think on the issues I outlined. Do you agree with me or not? And what would your solutions be? Thanks for spending your time with me today, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.